Hello, I'm Nico Town, and welcome back to another video. Today we will be reviewing this dinosaur-inspired mecha based off the 31058 Creator Mighty Dinosaurs 3-in-1. With that being said, like and subscribe if you enjoy this build and review, and let's get into it. The torso was the first part of the robot I designed. It used most of the hand pieces from the underside of the dinosaur, which it was really just figuring out which pieces would go where, which took a couple iterations till I found a design that I actually liked. One thing I wish I could fix was these red pieces placed on the bottom of the upper torso, because you are able to see it when you are completing the rest of the build, as it is right on top of those sloped underside pieces that you saw me place earlier. The headpiece of the dinosaur, which is usually used for motorcycles, was great to create that centerpiece, and I used some ball joints to get that nice shaping, along with some of the angled pieces that also come in the head. The legs of this mech are actually exactly the same as the Mighty Dinosaur T-Rex build. That is the main one from the actual set. They use the same amount of parts and are completely identical because I wanted to keep the dinosaur aesthetic alive. It could have looked just like something else, but adding this would make it more reminiscent of the original build. Though the feet that I made were different, they used the same upper portion, but I used some different parts to create the back of the feet, as well as those slope pieces, which made me turn around the claws, which was a different look from the original set. The arms were one of the last things that I built, except for the head, which I had a limited amount of pieces, but I continued that angular design with the 1x4 sloped bricks, as well as a simple design that gave the illusion of the shoulder without actually having it because I didn't have enough pieces. The back also included the main back part for the Mighty Dinosaur T-Rex, and I wanted to add some sort of wing or spikes, so I used the teeth pieces that were included in the set to create something that looked pretty nice. The weapons were the last thing that I created, so they are using the most scarce amount of pieces, which means they might be a little rougher, but I still think I did a pretty good job with each of the weapons. This is the final design of my robot, and I'm really proud of it. I think I put a lot of detail for only having like 150 pieces, and it still is reminiscent of the original, so you know what it's based off of and what gave it that inspiration. The main body of the robot has lots of detail. I made sure to have these panels for the chest at an angle because I thought it would look nicer, and that looks really good with the shoulder armor, which slopes down into it, and it lines up with the angles that it's created here with the different slopes that I used for the shoulders. As well as that, we have this centerpiece with that sloped green piece, which follows down with more light and dark green intermixing for some nice color. The legs, except for the feet, are exactly the same as the original design. I wanted to keep something part of it, and I thought the legs were the best choice as they're really stocky and give some good support to this robot, and overall I think that was the right choice to go with the rest of the pieces to create what I have in front of you. The legs are slightly edited using the same ball joint connection as before. It can also have the rotation at the hip, which gives it a nice range of motion. The difference between the legs down here are they are slightly angled this time. I didn't use the flat 2x3 tan pieces. Instead, I kept it a 2x2 base with this angled plate for more support. And then I switched the claws around for a different design, which kinda in a way looks like heels, but it changes the look of the robot to something different. The other leg is exactly the same and has those same two areas of posability. The arms, like the dinosaur that was the mainstay of this set, are pretty small. They're only built of a couple pieces, but still have two ranges of articulation. The first being the shoulder, of course, and the second being the wrist, which you can bend in and out. The hands are just a clip piece, which are pretty simple, but since it did have a T-Rex in the original build, I think it's fitting that the hands aren't huge. I was originally going to use some of the pieces like here to make fingers, but I like this design better, and it gave me those pieces for the weapons, which I do like both of. Of course, we have the sai in this hand, and then the other hand is exactly the same with the same functions, except for the sawtooth bat that we are given here. On the back of the robot, I tried to cover most of it up with this big shell piece and some other green details. It also has these two designs right here, which kind of are reminiscent of wings, which is another build, the Pteranodon in the set, and I made them out of bone, so it's like it put armor onto itself after the base form was made. I do like the design here. I wish these came in a different color, but they still work, and you can get a decent bit of movement in these if you want to adjust it and change the position that they're in. The head continues the sloping detail I put all across the front. It has these two pieces. One are the 2x1 slope roof pieces, and the other are these 4x1 angled pieces, and these are pushed slightly down to create a different design instead of having them straight up like this. I think it just gives it a little bit more detail, and having the face while staring directly at you have it slightly sloped downwards gives it a different appearance than it would otherwise. It also has this tooth piece on the top, which gives it that final design and continues the jutted out structures that are created on the back of the robot. The only main problem with this robot is structurally some of the things are weak, like these pieces connected to the side of the head for the detail, the hands being only clipped on by one stud, and these wing pieces being clipped on the reverse part of the tooth back here, which is prone to fall off sometimes. But this build is overall pretty strong except for those small details, and I'm happy with how it turned out. With that being said, that's going to do it for the review. I hope you enjoyed the build of this Mighty Dinosaurs alternate mech build, and I hope you would do it yourself if you do in fact have the set. Comment down below your thoughts on how I did, and if there's anything you would have done differently if you had built this. Like and subscribe if you do enjoy, and see you guys next time.